Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Fast Break. I am 𝗙𝗫𝗃 Johnson, and we are in off-season mode, so I don't even know what episode this is, but thanks for tuning in. Here are the four storylines that are on my mind as of this taping. Number one, the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I believe I said that correctly. And do I need to start practicing pronouncing it, because Bulls fandom has anointed Giannis coming to Chicago. Even our beloved Secretary of State, 𝗦𝗦cie 𝗰𝗶𝗹, a very esteemed hooper himself, has done so on Twitter/X. I'm here for a little dose of reality, though. But look, the future of Giannis will be a dominant theme to this offseason unless the Bucks come out and flat out say they will not be trading him. The entire league will descend upon Chicago next week for the NBA draft lottery, as well as the combine. So there'll be a lot of chatter about the future of Giannis. Obviously, this is stemming from the Bucks' first round flameout against the Indiana Pacers, and Giannis's consistent post-series comments that he wants to win another chip. And most people will tell you that, especially with the unfortunate injury to Damian Lillard, the Bucks championship window appears to be closed or closing, depending on your perspective. I personally think it's closed, been for a while. Anyway, the future of Giannis is top of mind for most NBA types. And again, the Bulls fandom is having a lot of fun with this, because one time Giannis did say he respected the legacy of Michael Jordan and maybe one day he would play in Chicago. There's obviously a great Greek population here. I believe he even has some investing in some restaurateurs that have places both in Chicago and Milwaukee. I don't know, man. It's all over the place. Let's talk about the brass tacks of the basketball standpoint, though. If the Bucks do decide to move on Giannis, and let's emphasize that's a big if. I mean, this is a pretty special relationship that Giannis has had with that franchise, with that community. He's been incredibly loyal to that small-town community, small-town franchise. They have loved him back. So let's start there. Giannis has not said he wants to leave Milwaukee. And obviously, the team can decide to trade him without his blessing. Although, given that relationship, I would find that a long shot. Now, here's the other thing. Giannis is under team control for 2 more seasons with a player option in that third season, close to $63 million. He's due roughly $54 million next season. That's a big number to get to. So let's play with the hypothetical that the Bucks are going to move off Giannis this offseason. What will they be looking for? Well, they do not control any of their draft picks until 2030. They obviously will be looking for draft capital. They'd also be looking for some salary cap relief. The Nets are better positioned in both situations than the Bulls. You would have to believe all 29 teams would get into that bidding for such a high-profile player. It would not be conducted like a 𝗵𝗀 𝗠𝗀 lack of sweepstakes. I'm assuming the Bucks would open it up to the entire league. And sure, if you're the Bulls, you have to at least make a call and do some expirations. But let's even try to build a package to get up to that $54 million number. I do not see the Bucks interested in 𝗐𝗫𝗀𝗀 Vucevic. That's a big number right there. So how do you get to that number without him? You'd probably have to throw in a signed and traded Josh Giddey. Kobe White would probably be asked for in that package. You absolutely have to think the Bucks would ask for 𝗵𝗏 Buzelis. And then look, every first-round pick that the Bulls own and every pick swap available to the Bulls would be headed Milwaukee's way. What would that leave you? That would leave you with Giannis and Vucevic as your core moving forward. Is this something you'd want to do as a Bulls fan? I know he's top 3 player in the world. I know he's special talent. Obviously put a lot of fans in the seats. Wonderful to watch play basketball. That's not the 𝗫𝗏 𝗨𝗏 that I heard at his season-ending news conference. And obviously, front office's roles is to be nimble, react to new situations, new developments. But at the end of the season, what I heard from management was patience, asking for patience. He sounded someone like he's committed to rebuilding this next roster iteration through the draft, through internal player development of his young core. Guys like Kobe White and 𝗵𝗏 Buzelis. I did not hear a management team that was positioned to make a big splash trade this offseason. He has taken that path before, not only in 2021, but also with the Vucevic trade and then the DeRozan and Lonzo Ball sign-in trades. I feel like this is going to be a different roster build this time. This is going to be slow and methodical. That's why 𝗕𝗏 asked for patience. I'm here personally to say I see Giannis to the Bulls as an extreme long shot, but never say never in the NBA. That's one thing I've learned covering it for as long as I have. All right, number 2, the draft lottery. We are 1 week away as of this taping, next Monday. And we're going to break some minor news here. We've got the Bulls on stage rep known. He will be 𝗵𝗏 𝗵𝗏. I love that pick. The 11th pick overall last year in the draft lottery. He'll be repping the Bulls on stage next week in Chicago. The only other better option to me would have been Derrick Rose, who obviously is in great graces with the organization again, given that the Bulls have a 1.7% chance at that number 1 overall pick, which is exactly what the Bulls cashed in to acquire Rose in 2008. But in lieu of D. Rose, 𝗵𝗏 works for me. Look, it's a ceremonial position. Julian Phillips filled it last season. You basically just stand there and smile at the camera. And if the Bulls stay at 12, which is where they are slotted, headed into the lottery, you're not on the air very long. It's a very brief appearance. But look, let's have some fun. Let's say the Bulls get lucky. They have an 8% chance to move into that top 4. As I previously mentioned, they have that 1.7% chance at the number 1 overall pick. If they somehow cash in that percentage odds chance for the second time in franchise history, you won't be hearing from 𝗵𝗏 afterward. Well, you would, but you'd also be hearing from 𝗕𝗏 𝗕𝗏. He would be doing interviews next Monday in Chicago. That would be a franchise changer, obviously, to land Cooper Flag. But look, what I heard from 𝗕𝗏 at that season-ending news conference was a very confident managerial regime entering this draft and this iteration of a rebuild. They are confident they can find value wherever they land in the draft. They feel they did that last year at number 11. Obviously, not many people expected 𝗵𝗏 to fall to number 11, and there he was, and the Bulls snapped him up, and he looks like he's got a very promising future. So the Bulls feel they are well-positioned regardless of where they end in the draft lottery. Obviously, every management team needs to say that, but the Bulls have some quiet confidence that they're going to be able to add a nice player wherever they land after next Monday's draft lottery. And maybe 𝗵𝗏 can bring some lucky charms. We will see. All right, number 3. I've been watching these playoffs religiously. I've been so into them. I said that the last Fast Break we taped a couple weeks ago. I love the first round. That is now concluded. So I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with these second-round matchups and look at them from an ex-Bulls standpoint and pick the winner based on that. Let's start with Indiana versus Cleveland. I tweeted this was going to be a good series, and I got some clapback, but Indy went in and stole game 1. I think this is going to be a tougher series than a lot of people think. Now, obviously, Cleveland's been hurt by Darius Garland's injury, but all right, let's go with the ex-Bulls standpoint and pick a winner. With Cleveland, you've got players only, Max Strus, Tristan Thompson, and Javonte Green, a fan favorite in the latter. With Indiana, you've got Tony Bradley, the short-lived center, and James Johnson, the long-ago first-round pick, the Sage veteran, the toughest guy in the league, the mixed martial arts experts. That's on the playing side. On the coaching side, you've got assistant coaches Gennaro Pargo and our old friend Jim Boylen, EN. So, I mean, come on. With Jim Boylen's presence alone, let's give the nod to the Pacers in this series, right? All right, number 2, Boston versus New York. Pretty thin on the Celtics side. You've got ex-players Luke Cornett and Torrey Craig, T. Craig as we like to call him, my fellow vegetarian. And on the Knicks side, this is a landslide. You've got Cam Payne on the playing side, and let's run down this coaching staff. Othello Harrington, assistant coach. Dice Yoshimoto, video coordinator here now, an assistant coach. Maurice Cheeks, the Hall of Famer, assistant coach. Rick Brunson, pretty famous father of a certain player named Jalen Brunson, assistant coach. Andy Greer, assistant coach, and the head man himself, yes, Tom Thibodeau. So Knicks in a landslide, although we all think Boston's going to win the series. All right, moving to the West, OKC versus the Nuggets. Pretty slim pickings in this series. You've got Alex Caruso, obviously, with the Thunder. Mike Wilkes, so that's going deep cut there for you Bulls fans. The journeyman guard is an assistant coach with the Thunder. And this technically is not an ex-Bull, but we're going to give it to him, the shooting coach, the premier shooting coach in the league, Chip England. used to be Steve Kerr's personal shooting coach in that second three-peat. And for the Nuggets, you've really only got the ghost of AK. That's about all that's left after that house cleaning. No players, no coaches. So we're going to give it to our guy, 𝗦𝗚cie 𝗰𝗶𝗟 and the Thunder. I've said before, I would love to see 𝗦𝗚cie 𝗰𝗶𝗟 win another chip. Talked to him at length about that possibility when the Bulls were in OKC late in the season. He's obviously knows what an opportunity he has. And that last series is a doozy. Warriors versus Timberwolves, very light on the Minnesota side. But get this, this is a battle of executives here. Obviously, Tim Connolly is the lead basketball executive in Minnesota, but his trusted GM, a wonderful talent evaluator, longtime Orlando Magic exec, has now been in Minnesota as the GM for several seasons. Matt Lloyd has Bulls ties, not only on the PR side, but on the executive side here. And Mike Dunleavy Jr. is the lead basketball executive with Golden State. So you got the dueling executives there, but we're going to give it to the Warriors in a landslide because they've obviously also got playoff Jimmy and Jimmy Butler, head coach Steve Kerr, and that longtime premier assistant Ron Adams. So we're going Warriors in the Warriors-Timberwolves series, although off the record, I think the Timberwolves are going to win that series. All right, that was kind of a lighthearted, fun one. This is what you get in off-season mode when the Bulls haven't been playing for over a month or close to a month. Our last subject, though, is going to be, I'm thinking about Ayo Dosunmu. He's been popping up on social media a little bit lately. I saw him bartending in a social media clip. And it brings to mind his rehab situation in that last media session we had with him after the season. You got to love the way this guy is attacking his rehab. He's at about the 9 to 10 week mark as of this taping. His brace is off. He said that rehab is going great. This is the first surgery of his entire career. So this is a new ground for him. And he has said that he is pointing to playing 5-on-5 in August. This is going to be an atypical offseason for Ayo, who usually comes back with a new trick in his bag. I asked him what he hoped to add this offseason, and he directly alluded to how this is a different offseason for him. He said he doesn't know that yet. Right now, his focus is on rehabbing that shoulder following the surgery, and then he will approach and attack what he wants to add once he gets back in that 5-on-5 contact situation in August. So going to be a different offseason for Ayo, but you have to love his positivity, his attitude. And he also has talked about leaning on Coby White, who obviously went through an offseason, not the same shoulder injury, but shoulder surgery, the same offseason situation a couple seasons ago. So we're going to be following Ayo, obviously, throughout this offseason. We're going to be following every storyline. They'll be more voluminous once we come out of the draft lottery and the draft combine. The whole league will be here. We look forward to covering that for you, and we'll be back with more Fast Break content shortly. We certainly appreciate you checking us out today. Catch you next time.
30 minutes.